brand suitability, comes in two flavors. It comes in environment and it comes in messaging and tonality of the creative. So number one, early on, as a student of the industry and an observer, I saw a lot of advertising on the air that was a bit tone deaf in terms of, are you kidding me? How could you run that creative in this kind of environment? And I think it took a couple of weeks for certain clients to realize, they've got to change their messaging. So obviously now you have seen so much more supportive, caring, purposeful messaging out in the marketplace from a tonality standpoint. All the insurance carriers giving rebates to their drivers because of incidents of accidents is way down because people are not out on the road anymore, so they're giving rebates back. They're extending payment terms on their insurance policies. So you're seeing a lot of messaging out there that is supportive of what is going on in today's environment. The tonality is much softer. A lot of thankfulness messages to the healthcare workers out there. And many, many marketers are leaning into brand purpose right now. So they've made a big shift, and I've seen it, significant change from 3 weeks ago to where we are today. And they're all doing the right thing, and it makes sense. Once in a while, you will still see some content out there that doesn't make sense from a creative messaging perspective, but it's less and less. We have told our entire brand strategy teams and activation teams, we've got to scrutinize every piece of creative that goes on the air to make sure that there cannot be any backlash from the tonality and the content, within the messaging out there. From an environment perspective, early on, when the news in the first 3 weeks of this pandemic was horrendous, and I'm not suggesting that the news today, is happy days are here again, because that's the last thing I want to suggest. But early on in the first 2 weeks, when the predictions were out there with potentially 1 million people dying, and the healthcare workers and the hospitals being completely overloaded, and the video of mass triage and what this looked like, marketers were very careful to stay out of that environment and being associated, unfortunately, with all this death and destruction. I think that, and I'm really talking about news content right now. There's a ton of other great fanfare and family-oriented content that's out there that, viewing, went up the first several weeks, by significant percentages on traditional linear TV. So more people were coming to the set, and there was appropriate content out there for advertisers to run in, and they stayed away from the news. As the news is slowly getting better and a little bit more optimistic, you're seeing more and more marketers gravitate back into the news environments, because it's more safe than it was back 3 weeks ago from the total negative impact of what was going on in this country was having on a ton of individuals. So it's a day-by-day situation. We are selective. We are guiding our clients in terms of brand safe environments. Some marketers are a little bit more lenient in that respect, and others are still, pretty firm. They don't want to be associated with any of that content.